The other thing ni I feel as a country, as a people, as a race, as a species, tunafaa kuongea more about death and dealing with our mortality. I know for some of us, we are constantly confronting our mortality. It's a constant thing that preoccupies 99% of our time. Najua, and possibly we are projecting here, believing and thinking and wishing that everyone else should be doing the same, understandably. But we still believe, we still think that ingekuwa muhimu sana if people wanaanza kunormalize talks za kifo. Najua, it's completely difficult for a majority of people. For some, it's very simple. For some people, wanaongeleanga kifo all the time, and it's just, it's a thing. Ni kawaida. Ni part of conversation like any other thing would be a part of the conversation. But sisi kama jamii, and then as humans, as part of culture, as part of conversations, inafaa kuappear more and more. One of those things that watu who struggle kuongelea, na hii pia iko na a lot of determining na influencing factors. Ni kama stories za do na finances, ni kama stories za sex. Hizi ni vitu that kama jamii tunakuanga na a hard time kuzungumzia, but ni muhimu, na ni muhimu sana for watu kwanza ku confront na ku deal na their mortality. Because nasemanga, if you are alive, we know the obvious outcome. You will die. It's very obvious, very, very apparent. So think, contemplate your death, your mortality, memento mori, talk about it more. It normalize, and this isn't even tying to anything. Sijui stories za legacy and will, vituka mental health. It is not just generally death as this passage, if you want to call it so, as this right, as this act, as this thing, as this reality, whatever it is nataka kuita, as this stage, as this step, as this finality. Ni muhimu sana ku have easy conversations, hata ka sina watu because before ifike hapo inaanza na with yourself. Nimeongelea death nikabakia wapi na mtu mmoja. Watu wataki stories za kifo. Jack ni aje. People don't want this story. I'm making people think about their mortality. So with that, now I am alone. Nothing but the usual. With that, ndio with starting it ukiwa by yourself, you're thinking through it, you're asking questions about it. Na si ati atufikiriangi, ile si suppress hizo thoughts za kifo. We don't even want to go there. Watu wengi usemanga, I don't even want to think about it. Time itakuja, vile itakuja, ikuje. Kuna wanasema ukifikiria utaiita. I wonder why I'm still here. So, kuna a lot of these things that people give as reasons for not doing that and not thinking about death. But ni easier ukianza with yourself. You get to a point where you can sit and have conversations and discourse with other people regarding the same. Tukwe tu realistic. How many of us are getting to 80? Hi, Abe. Abe wants to live a long life. How many? And the other layer, ya mortality, ni ya death, ya someone else, you also are compelled to confront kifo chako. So when you lose someone, inafanyanga ufikirie pia kifo chako, inafanyanga ufikirie life sana na reality and the idea of life and why we are here, what happens after we die. So you confront a lot of thoughts when you're thinking about the death of someone whom you've lost, or death ya watu, whether umewajua ama hujawajua, and you're confronting mortality and thinking about life generally and what it means and why we are here. Nikianza niliongelea nihilism na absurdism na existentialism. Here again imekuja full circle. We think about our death. So the lens at which we go tukifollow hizo thoughts ndio kuanga varied. Kuna inakuja wanazima hiyo thought, wana move on na life. Inakuja naomba Mungu niweke hai, niishi longer. For some inakujanga and they go and they go and they go, and then they stay there for the rest of their life thinking about their death. All of these are realities that happen. In 2020, closing of 2021, closing of 2019, mwanzo of 2020, I sat and thought how this decade from 2020 hadi 2029 itakuwa na a lot of death, which really, if you think about, is an obvious thing. I think ukipick any possible 10 years from the timeline of your existence kama human beings, utapata vifo. The numbers will definitely vary. So huwezi compare the past 10 years, the past decade, na ile decade ilikuwa na World War I na ama World War II, or hizi pestilences that zimeravage the world ama different parts of the world, and such events that zimetokea that zilikuwa extremes, and plagues that zimeravage the world. Huwezi compare definitely. So which is the case with the decade nilikuwa naongelea at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, na nilikuwa naongea na someone nikamwambia I really feel kutakuwa na a lot of death in this decade. Na nilikuwa nasema ni obvious because of where I am na age group that I belong to. So nikifikiria age mates wangu wenye wako in their late 20s, mid to late 20s, wenye kuna possibility of us dying in this decade. Najua Edna ameingia na shanga, what the fuck Edu ni aje? You're joining this live now, pole sana. Wenye watapass during hii decade, then nafikiria people wenye wako kwa the generation above and watu wenye wako in their 30s and 40s, kukuwa na a sort of a peak ya their life in terms of age, in terms of lifespan, because lifespan inaenda ikishuka. Ndio maana nimesema realistically, you who's watching this video now, what are the chances, ki percentage, ki probability that you will live for 60 more years from now? We know the answer to this question. Edna here, is a mathematician. We know the answer to this question. Then nilikuwa na feel generation ya our grandparents, 70s, 80s, 90s, wako at the tail end of their life. Wako literally wanamaliza journey yao ya life. Then their parents, not their parents, their children, our parents, era ya 50s, 60s, the kind of lifespan that tuna exist in as of now, unless kuna hizi rare and special cases kwa different countries where wanachezea 80, 90. A majority ukiangalia hiyo ndo watu wanaenda sana, na watu wanafika 80, 90 ni kina nani? Kina Queen Elizabeth, the queen. Kuja alizaliwa lini? Precisely. Kina Mugabe walizaliwa lini? Kibaki, Moi walizaliwa lini? Chezea 90s huko. Chances za wewe kufika 90, you know the answer to that question. Mortality. So kukua realistic. So nilikuwa kwa hii rabbit hole nikiangalia tu ages za watu, nafikiria so people wenye wako around mid 20s to late 20s, kuna some of us that will lose each other. Some of us will lose each other within the next 10 years, within the next 5 years. would be you. I could lose you. You could lose me within the next 5 years or 3 or this year. Watu wako 30 and 40 who are the generation in a fall chini ya our parents. If your parents are beyond 50 and beyond, watachezea 50, 60, 70. A majority would go to 70. Our parents 70, 80. Grandparents wako hapo pia, wako hiyo age 70, 80, 90 wanamaliza. Na hao wako hiyo range ya kina Obako, kina Moi, kina Queen, kina Mugabe. Hiyo ndio range yao. So nilikuwa na have hizi thoughts late 2019, early 2020, najiambia this decade will be the one. And then the Lord blessed us all the way from Wuhan with the coronavirus, with the COVID-19, and a pandemic came through. And we all know what happened during that. Am I a seer? Am I a prophet? Wanasemanga Africans ukuwa na hizo capabilities, traditionally speaking, and some of these abilities go passed down through generations and then follow a lineage. Who knows? Not last month, in October, nilianza kuandika wili yangu. Nakusikia. I understand. You're still here. And I'm still drilling down on death. Nimesema hiyo msemo moja akahepa. Asante for allowing yourself to confront your mortality and still listen to me talk about death. Which nilianza ilikuwa process that I've wanted to do, but sikuwa nimeanza kuifanya. So the actuality of watching videos on writing your own will and writing notes on the same na kuanza kufikiria about how to do it, that felt different than just thinking about it. Shukran Hazel, shukran Abe, shukran Jack. It feels completely different than kuiwaza na kuiweka at the back of your mind na kusema ni something that tutafanya at a point in time. Actualizing the process is a completely unique experience, something that sija experienced before, and it's a huge part of history nasema ya mortality. It's a really huge part and a different lane altogether. Kufikiria ni one thing, kuiongelea ni another thing. Wasa kukaa na story ya will, that is another thing altogether. Eba nasema I call dibs on the blog. Sa blog itakupatia pesa kweli? Hiyo blog hainipatii chochote. But you can make money from the blog. If I were you, I'd do that for the channel. You can make millions from the channel. You can make a lot of money from the YouTube channel. Blog, But YouTube, na nimesema tuko almost kufika 7 subscribers. We have 351 more. Kufika nini 1,000 subscribers. So eba anasema chami tena. anasema channel. That's the best decision as I make.